Hey everyone, it's Mike. Welcome back. And today we're going to talk about corporate wellness and positive psychology. Positive psychology tends to focus on people's strengths, things that are going right. It's not fixing what's wrong, it's taking what's already good and raising it to another higher level. One of the main proponents of positive psychology, if not one of its founders, is Martin Seligman. He had originally written Learned Optimism, followed by Authentic Happiness, and then there's a few others that he's had over the last few years, and definitely worth a read. He's got some courses. I think you can go on Coursera, and he's got a website through the University of Pennsylvania. Really great work. The idea, though, is that we have certain character strengths in our lives. And those character strengths, things like curiosity, creativity, a sense of fairness and justice, kindness and generosity, leadership, these are based on like some of the traditional virtues going back to ancient philosophy, Greece and Rome. And we all have a top five character strengths. There's about 24, and we have a top five. And those top five characters are so core to who we are as people that we wouldn't be who we are without them. And the failure to utilize and operationalize those character strengths really is discounting and minimizing parts of who we are. And one could imagine it's really hard to be happy, genuinely happy, if we're suppressing, perhaps unintentionally, these key parts of who we are. So Dr. Seligman talks about living the good life. And the good life is using your top character strengths in as many areas of life as possible: work, relationships, even leisure. And to do so as often as we can is to live the good life. Now, he realizes it's difficult to do this, especially as often as we might like. So he says he wants to pepper it with living what he calls the pleasant life. The pleasant life is just maximizing the pleasures, more like the sensory, the felt experiences. These are things like a good meal, listening to nice music, going for a walk, a hot shower, cup of coffee, glass of wine. These are easier to kind of pepper throughout your day. You can do more of them. They're not as long lasting, but they're easier to get. And so you have the pleasant life, where you maximize the pleasures, and the good life, where you maximize your character strengths. And they also call something called the meaningful life, which is where you use those character strengths that I mentioned, but in an area that is a little bit more transcendent, something greater than yourself. It could be religion or spirituality, it could be family, but you do something that is greater than yourself, but using the character strengths in doing it. It's not just doing those things, but doing it and using your character strengths from the good life. And so you have the pleasant life, the good life, and the meaningful life, and if you have all three, you are living a full life. And he believes that that is the key, or at least a large part of the key to happiness, what he calls authentic happiness, genuine happiness, real happiness. Now, a lot of people, when they're at work, they don't feel happy at work. Perhaps they're not utilizing their character strengths. Maybe they're a worker and one of their character strengths is leadership, and they're not in any position to be a leader. Maybe social intelligence is a character strength, and they're in a very isolating area of work where they don't really have a lot of interaction. Maybe they have a creative side, and they have no opportunities to be creative. Now, you don't have to get those at work, by the way. You can get them outside of work because you want to meet them, but clearly, since work it takes up a large part of our time, the opportunity to use those strengths on the job is, I think, quite important. And so, again, positive psychology is to focus on your strengths, find out what's going right, doing more of it, looking at your strategy. When things are going well, what are you doing and thinking and feeling? And when things are going well, things are going great, and I'm more positive, I'm more extroverted, I'm sharper, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking I'm doing great, I'm doing a good job, I feel confident, I'm moving with purpose. What happens when you're not doing well? Well, I'm a little bit more reticent, I'm having the negative self-talk, my heart is beating a mile, maybe my breathing is labored. So you want to look at the strategies for success. When you're doing things well, what are the criteria? What's happening in your thoughts, in your actions, in your emotions, in your physiology? And maybe when things are not going well, you can kind of take almost like cut and paste the things that you're doing when you're feeling good and start doing those things when you're not feeling good. Of course, there's also in work imposter syndrome, procrastination, lack of motivation. So once again, you want to find what motivates you. What are things that you look forward to, that propel you, that pull you forward, instead of, you're not feeling pushed, you're feeling pulled. So again, the use of these kind of the strengths and techniques from positive psychology really can help go a long way in making people feel more satisfied at work and fulfilled and less stressed, less anxious, less worried, less depressed. So I encourage you to learn more about positive psychology in general and positive psychology at work. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next time. Thanks.